Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the mayor and the board of trustees of the Village of Burr Ridge for November 13, 2023. Chief, lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Francis?
Here.
Trustee Schiappa?
Here.
Trustee Paveza? Trustee Snyder? Trustee Matal? Here. Trustee Smith?
Here.
Mayor Grasso?
Here.
All here but Trustee Snyder.
Yes. And we did change the date of this meeting. We hadn't planned for tonight's meeting, but we realized we had to get the tax levy on according to statute. So we did schedule this meeting last minute in the last week, and Trustee Snyder made business plans to be out of state, and that's why he's not here tonight. Okay, that takes us to, there are no presentations or public hearings tonight. Takes us to the consent agenda. An item shall be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any one trustee or anyone present at the meeting. Those items marked with an asterisk are considered to be on the consent agenda. A roll call shall be taken on the approval of the consent agenda and recorded in the minutes as an omnibus vote. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be discussed by the board, opened for public comment, and voted upon during the meeting. Minutes. A, approval of regular board meeting of October 23, 2023. B, receive and file economic development meeting of November 1, 2023. C, receive and file plan commission meeting minutes of November 6, 2023. 6, ordinances. A, approval of an ordinance amending section 25.09 of chapter 25 entitled Liquor Control of the Burr Ridge Municipal Code. B, approval of an ordinance amending chapter 2 of the Burr Ridge Municipal Code Administration. And C, approval of an ordinance approving a variation from section 4.1 of the zoning ordinance to permit a deck in the front yard, VO1 2023 6301 South County Line Road, Zafar. 8, considerations. B, approval to direct staff to prepare an ordinance approving a variation for fence in a front side yard, VO5 2023 724 Tomlin Drive, Seminski. C, approval to direct the Plan Commission to hold public hearings regarding text amendments to the zoning ordinance related to the location of residential fences and driveway gates. D, approval of a 3-year agreement with Vonage of Atlanta, Georgia for phone system services in the not to exceed amount of $65,000. E, receive and file retirement letter of Officer Robert Worth. And F, approval of the 2024 Board of Trustees meeting calendar. And finally, G, approval of vendor list dated November 13, 2023 for the fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $360,262.55 for all funds plus $222,534.07 for payroll period ending October 28, 2023 for a grand total of $582,796.62. With that, can I get a motion to approve the following items on the consent agenda? 5ABC, 6ABC, 8B through G.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion at the board level? Any discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Schiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Francis? Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Matal? Yes. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Passes. 5-0.
5-0, motion passes. Okay, that takes us to item 7A, consideration of a resolution determining the estimated property taxes to be levied for the 2023 tax year of the Village of Burr Ridge, Illinois. Evan?
Thank you, Mayor. As stated, this is the 2023 property tax levy. Property tax years are listed in arrears, so it is going to be the 2024 edition of the 2023 property tax levy. So you're going backwards a year because of property taxes. So as stated by law, a resolution reflecting the estimated levy must be approved by the board. This directs us to prepare the property tax ordinance reflecting the final estimated levy. Upon your direction tonight, that ordinance will reflect the exact dollar amount shown in the table below. At this point, our property tax continues to drop in terms of a percentage of the average resident's total property tax bill. At this point, it is 1.9% of the average DuPage resident's tax bill and 1.6% of the average Cook resident's tax bill. And over the last 3 years, including this coming year, we'll be issuing a flat levy. So it's been about a 1% cut in real value every year to the average resident. So over time, that percentage will continue to drop as long as they're not rising, of course. As you can see, we do have some shifting of where the actual levy is coming from because we revised the police pension funding policy. Instead of doing what the state requires on a minimum basis, we'll be going with what our actuary recommends. So as you can see, our levy as a whole is not going up by a single dollar, but our police pension payment will be going up by about $250,000 in levy totals. And again, this is to come into compliance with our 20-year amortization policy. Again, this will raise us up slowly every year. We're not going to get to 90 or 100% overnight, but over time, this policy is designed to save money for the village. It'll prevent the hockey sticking that we went over in the past year, where we're seeing $2, $3, $4 million property tax levies in that alternate universe. But this new levy and new policy will avoid that. It's supposed to save us between $8 and $10 million over the next 20 years. So a fine fiduciary obligation we've got there. There's also a caveat in the policy which calls for an additional one-time $200,000 payment to be made to the fund. That'll make our entire tax year contribution $1,385,536. That's $1,185,536 plus $200,000. So again, tonight, just approving the resolution which directs staff to create the ordinance to levy that dollar amount for the next year.
So moved.
Well, let's get some questions and then we'll do that, okay? Well, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, now let's have a discussion. Any questions at the board level? Yes, Russ?
Just a commentary. I want to thank staff for putting this together, bringing this into the forefront of the board so that we can, start kind of getting our hands in control of the pension that we are doing now. So again, thank you for bringing that up to us.
I also want to make a comment. Staff, Evan especially, did a lot of research into this. This is not just an option that was just there's a lot of a deep dive, and we really weighed different options and came up with this as the best fit for the village and most suitable for our police force, because we really appreciate everything they do for us, and we want to make sure that we do the best we can for the police force. So thank you, staff, and hopefully this will work out very well.
Anyone else? Yes.
Just a comment. This is the estimated levy under the Truth in Taxation Act. A taxing body is required to estimate its tax levy a minimum of 20 days before adoption of the actual levy ordinance. The levy ordinance will be on the agenda in the meeting in December.
Which is the reason we're meeting tonight.
That's the reason we're meeting tonight.
And instead of 2 weeks from now.
28th wouldn't have given us enough time.
Right, exactly right. So thank you, Michael. And then one final comment. I certainly support this, a long-term programming for the police pension continues the astute direction of this board as to how to handle the police pension. We have been always in an enviable position in terms of funding. This makes it a little bit more enviable from the standpoint of others. So this pension obligation has been well under control for certainly the last 15 years. And this continues that trend. So I also support this. With that, we have a motion and a second. Any more comment? Any comment from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Mattel? Yes. Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
5-0.
5-0, the motion passes. That takes us to considerations. 8A, consideration of street and pathway committee recommendation to approve the 2024 road program. Evan? Oh, Scott, sorry, David.
Okay. I'll summarize for you what was just discussed at the Street and Pathway Committee meeting. That was a newly formed committee, combination of the Pathway Commission with the Street Policy Committee. So we're really just going to focus tonight on our recommendation for your consideration. It was approved by the Street and Pathway Committee from our 2024 road program. But first, let's wrap up where we're at with the 2023 capital program. We're actually a little bit early in presenting this because in great weather, work is still going on. So some of the numbers here are really just estimates of where we are now. But some of those numbers may change when you see the final presentation because we still have work going on. But overall, of all the road program contracts from 2023, which is our road resurfacing projects, which in this year we did the Devon of Burr Ridge subdivision between 87th and 91st Street. Then in our crack sealing contract, the pavement marking program, the material testing services, all of those contracts in total in 2023 wrapped up at about $88,000 under budget. Our resurfacing got out so early this year because of the recommendation from staff that the board took into consideration and did in moving the motor fuel tax funds away from our resurfacing contract for other eligible uses. By doing that, we saved ourselves a lot of time and increased competition and not having our contracts go through IDOT. When you use the motor fuel tax fund allocation, IDOT has to review that. So that saved us a lot of time and not having to send it to their Schaumburg District 1 office. We got our bids so early in January, then February 9th, we opened and awarded the contract. So our contracts actually started construction towards the end of March. We were substantially completed in early May. Because we had great weather too in that spring. We were the first out of the gate really, so we got better competition, we got better prices, again, by moving those dollars around and not using motor fuel tax for the resurfacing project. We just opened up competition and got the projects done early. Overall, this is a summary of the 2023 capital program.
Thank you. Any questions of David? Next.
So just for your information, what is a road program? Overall, it's really just the most effective use of your dollars to maintain one of the most visible and valuable assets in the village, and that's your roadway pavement. Using tools like crack sealing, patching, we just try to get the pavement back up to a good condition or very good condition where we can. Because as a very good pavement, like a newly resurfaced street starts to degrade, it's more expensive the longer you go and the more it degrades. So at various periods, usually 3 years, 8 years, something like that after resurfacing, we were crack sealing, we were watching the projects for patching. We were just trying to use a little bit of cost to extend the life of the pavement. The 2024 road program will show some of the various tools that we'll be getting into that. We're really just, again, trying to identify the right street for the right treatment at the right time. How we get that again is on the next slide, it's our street condition survey, which we do every 2 years. It's a rigorous 13-point evaluation. You know, we started at about 100, and on those 13 different factors, we rate a pavement based on its severity, based on its extent. That degrades it from 100, so the lower the number, the worse. You know, we don't want something to go below or too much below a 70. That really triggers us to get into that resurfacing stage. So again, we're trying to extend the life of pavement, and I'll get into that in another chart soon, very on. We can breeze through these pictures. This is really just kind of showing you, we just wanted you to see what we see. Again, spoiler alert, this Arrowhead Farm subdivision we'll be talking out for 2024. Overall, its streets are rated at about a 66.8. Next slide is another subdivision, the Cambridge Estates. This is the first time it's been resurfaced since 2002. So that's gone a long time between resurfacings of a 75.4. Forest Edge subdivision is a brand new subdivision back in 2004. This is the first time we're getting to that road. So it's a 62.1 pavement condition rating. And then 83rd Street is our Rebuild Illinois Bond Fund program. We're going to do this through IDOT, through the RBI, the Rebuild Illinois Bond Fund allocation of about $690,000 that'll go towards this road here. Highland Fields is, again, the first time it's been resurfaced since it was constructed in 2001. It's really gotten along that well. We've been crack sealing to keep it up. And so now we're 23 years, it'll be 25 years later by the time we get to that next year that we're resurfacing that for the first time. So with that data, we comprised a 2024 proposed road program. The whole 5-year projects that we anticipate are included in your packet. In 2024, again, we're looking at Arrowhead Farm subdivision, last resurfaced in 04. Cambridge Estates was 2002, and the Forest Head subdivision, first time since 04. The total of those, plus the 83rd Street RBI fund, is about $1.3 million. And our miscellaneous maintenance, that's the patching like we talked about, and the crack sealing that just kind of keep the roads up, and pavement marking to dress up what's worn out. Those contracts we typically keep at about $125,000. We can use joint bids on those to kind of keep the costs low. So we are getting way out ahead talking to you here in November. So we anticipate getting good prices again. We'll be coming back to you in February with an award. But overall, again, looking back at the past 30 years of projects, back in the early 2000s, things were really accelerated. We were doing almost 5 miles of road, at $1.4 million. That was a lot back then. So a lot of those roads are coming of age, but we've got that backlog. So with 5 miles of roads, when we're only doing 1 mile to 1.5 miles over the last decade and a half, or the last 15 years, those streets are backlogging. So we're trying to keep the good streets in good condition with things like the pavement preservation, crack sealing, patching, to keep those going so that we can catch up to the backlog of roads. Like we said, we're getting to roads for the first time since 2002, 2004. So we're just catching up to some of those now here in 2024. So that big spike is through the 83rd Street and the Rebuild Illinois Bond Funds. It's at $1.45 million. If we didn't have that, it would only be about $756,000. So kind of an average of the last several years. But then again, you can see the deficiency in the motor fuel tax only funds so much of a road program. But having included that will delay us and decrease competition. So moving those dollars elsewhere in the budget, again, it frees us up to do more with our resurfacing contract, to have more liberty in our specs, and to increase competition. So that's kind of a target number. If there's any questions, that wraps up our presentation.
I just want to make a comment. I want to congratulate Isaac for doing such a good job of maintaining our roads at the best possible.
Anyone else? Okay. So I need a motion to approve the Street and Pathway Committee recommendation for the 2024 road program.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion at the board level? Any comment or discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Schiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
5-0.
5-0, the motion passes. That takes us down to item 9, public comment. Is there any public comment?
Quick note I want to make.
Sure.
There was a receipt on the bills that Trustee Smith and I talked about earlier. There was a receipt that I wanted to quickly talk about, just to state it for a transparency record. We had to restate a bill, one of the previous bills we had from Uncle Charles, one of our vendors for a staff event. It was mislabeled. It had some sales tax in it that we should not have been paying, so we took it off of our previous bills, and it'll be restated on this bill of record. So Trustee Smith had asked about that, and I just wanted to bring that up tonight, just to note that it's not a duplicate, it's just a restatement of a previous bill under better accounting. So thank you, Trustee Smith.
Thank you.
Okay. Any public comment? Yes, come on up. No, come on up, Mary.
I'm Mary Bradley. I live on Carriageway, 121 Surrey Lane. I've been appointed to the ad hoc committee regarding the CNH development, and I look forward to serving on that. I sort of sense that there's a lot of disagreement as to what's going on behind the scenes and what's not behind the scenes. And I just kind of wanted to double check on the status of the committee and when you think it might be meeting. I sent an email out to my homeowners. I'm president of our association. So I sent an email today out to all of our homeowners asking for some feedback, looking for some ideas. Is that the thrust of what this committee is supposed to be doing, is looking for some optional things besides the Costco? Because people are very concerned in my neighborhood about the traffic.
Sure, and which is why I asked for the authority to appoint an ad hoc committee, which would be just an ad hoc committee that would make some recommendations. But of course, it's not binding on anyone at this point, but let me give you an update of where we are. I was going to say this in my comments tonight. First of all, I only got that authority at the last meeting, and last week appointed 11 members, including yourself. There was some input from several of the people, well, at least two representatives from Fieldstone. And while I had intended to put maybe one or two more people from the Fieldstone area on the committee, it turned out that there was a lot of interest from around the village. And so I felt it was necessary to put together a more balanced, if you will, geographic committee, and I did that. Since then, one person has asked to be taken off the committee. I just got the email, in fact, I think today or yesterday, and I will put someone else on. And then two others might also drop off, and I'll look at that. Wednesday night, because people did ask me, I've got a bunch of emails, or at least a few emails, about why did I appoint this person and not that person. I'm not too concerned about those comments because I think that's my discretion as to who to appoint, but I did want everybody to understand this committee will have open public meetings so that the agenda will be published and anyone from the village can attend and anybody can address the committee. Trustee Schiappa, who also is the head of the Economic Development Committee, will be the chair. Trustee Francis is also on the committee, and right now so is Trustee Smith. And there's also an appointment from Fieldstone of Greg Krupek, who is also the Plan Commission chairman. I may reconsider that appointment because maybe since he will be the chairman of the Plan Commission who will get the recommendations, if any, on petitions from CNH, he will have to preside, so maybe he will reconsider about being on the committee. But I want to also have a session. I told the people from Fieldstone that I will be here in the boardroom at 5 o'clock on Wednesday night. If anybody wants to come from Fieldstone, or as I'm saying right now, I was going to say later, anybody wants to come in and ask me questions or have recommendations about that, I'll be here Wednesday night at 5 o'clock. Everybody's, concerned. This is 110 acres. It's a huge piece of property within Burr Ridge. To put it in perspective, the village center property was 22 acres, 20-ish. This is about 4 to 5 times larger than the village center. So obviously, not only those immediately affected, like Carriageway or Fieldstone or Chestnut or other areas, the entire village will be affected by what's put there.
I agree.
The other thing to be cognizant of is that the village does not own the property, okay? And we don't have, while we may have ultimate say of what's there, we only have so much say as to what the owner can do to sell the property and develop it. We cannot dictate what will be there. We can react and we can make sure things are done in a proper manner, consistent with our zoning. But while the village has a significant amount of power and control, it doesn't have ultimate power and control over what is
But
put there.
it does have the power to change the zoning, and so it's very crucial that we remember.
Well,
We don't want to see the homeowners thrown under the bus. That's the
well, and
biggest thing.
no one would throw the homeowners under the bus, and to some extent, I'm resenting the fact that people think that things have been done behind the scenes. In fact, I'm rather concerned at the trust that we put in another body, the Park District, in sharing some preliminary thoughts, was suddenly put out by one of their trustees as if something had already been decided. And so that trustee breached the trust of this board in trying to consult with a fellow board to find, to get some input. Unfortunately, the way that person did that, it made others think that there had been some decisions made and that stuff was going, quote, on behind the scenes. We get proposals often on developments, and we do share them with stakeholders. And lots of time, it never comes to fruition. There is no petition in front of the Plan Commission to develop the CNH property. There is no petition in front of the Plan Commission to put a Costco on the premises. So while we certainly appreciate that everybody's concerned, the board is concerned. We represent you. And I would at least ask, because I think it's deserved, that everybody keep an open mind, and nothing's been decided. And to emphasize that, I asked to have an ad hoc committee appointed so that there can be input. But at the end of the day, we don't own the property. We have some rights to control what happens there, but we can't willy-nilly just change the zoning and take away the ability to develop that property. So we're certainly going to act, as we always do, under the motto, what is best for Burr Ridge? We always do that at the board level, and that won't change with this either.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on the ad hoc committee, and I'm sending emails around to my neighbors to see what they think.
Good, thank you.
And
Please,
that's what the
please
hope
stay
is.
involved. I thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn to December 11, 2023, and to go into?
Do you have any other reports?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. You're right. Because closed session was there, but I should jump down to reports and communications. So my error. Go to item 11, reports and communications. Anita?
Sure. The last and the next event that's coming up on November 17th is Deck the Green. It's the last event for the session. This is joint with the Village Center in partnership. Please join us. There will be hot cocoa, there will be magical rides, holiday trains around the meet and take photos with Santa, enjoy the company of other various holiday characters, light jugglers, face painting stations, caroling, and a live DJ for dancing. Admission is free. Please get out and have some fun with us. And the lighting will also take place on the same day. So November 17th, 5 to 7. See you all there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just a couple of things from me. On Saturday, I participated in the Veterans Memorial Gathering, 11 o'clock Saturday morning. We had a nice turnout, wouldn't you say, Sue? Mm-hmm. And we had our bugler, and we had our resident from the Army there, and it was a nicely attended event on a beautiful morning. And of course, if there is a better Veterans Memorial around, someone tell me where that is, because I'd say they're wrong. So it was a great event, and we'll look forward to doing it again next year. Also, as the mayor of the Village of Burr Ridge, and on behalf of the board, it's Thanksgiving time, and so we wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot in this country to be thankful for. We have a lot in this state, this county, and in this village to be thankful for. There is war going on too many places around the world. Too many people are dying. There's just not enough peace. And even in our own country, we are as divided as I think I could ever remember in my adult life. But at the end of the day, we still are in the greatest nation that democracy was ever created for, and therefore we still have a lot to be thankful for. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone. With that, can I get a motion for, to adjourn to December 11th and to go into closed session?
So moved.
We're going into closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees consistent with the language of 5 ILCS 120/2C1. We have a motion, a second. Any comment? Roll call, please.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
Trustee Vital?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
5-0, we're adjourned and we're in closed